Good morning. After so many days, I believe geography is still with you. Huh? You are the new one. Okay. Acha, acha. You have seen the classes, huh? Hi. A strength is Ashish. What about his strength? कहाँ गए बाकी? Huh? Why online? Why not offline? अभी इतने ही आ रहे हैं? Ah, the CDS kind of exam. अच्छा, college exam. So, we are going to start oceanography, right? So, in this oceanography, first the topics which are important. So these are the topics. Please list them down. Continental shelves, continental slopes, continental rise, then trenches, oceanic floor, MORs, mounds and guyots, and island. These are the features which are found on the ocean's floor, right? Continental shelf, slope, rise, trenches, oceanic floor itself, then MOR, mounds. If the mounds are eroded and their top is flat, then we will call them guyots, islands in this way. This is one part. Out of this one part, for your mains and prelims, the most important is this one. So here we will discuss in detail, for example, for the mains point of view, first how they are formed, and also they are equally important for prelims, how they are formed, their formation, and their significance. This is important for your mains also, right? The second part, in this second part of oceanography, we'll discuss these three factors. Number one, it is temperature. Second, density. And third, salinity. This is second part. In this second part, we will discuss about temperature. For example, in the temperature, we'll understand the various patterns and distribution of temperature. Remember, from this area, we will get question in the prelims, right? From this area, the questions will be there. And the same way, pattern and distribution of density, pattern and distribution of salinity. They are important for both your prelims and mains. Right? Especially for the mains, you can expect the question, for example, if I go by the mains, let's say in the mains, they can ask you What are the factors which influences or affecting temperature of the oceans? What are the factors responsible which, let's say, which decide what should be the temperature of the oceanic water? Number one. Second, in the same question, they can also ask you, talk about vertical distribution of temperature in oceanic water. This is important, right? Horizontal or vertical, anything they can ask. In the same way, from here, they can ask you what is salinity of the ocean and what is the significance of the salinity, right? And this has been asked by the UPSC in the mains. है ना? In from this two lectures of the oceanography, you will have at least two questions in the prelims and one question for sure in the mains, right? So these two classes are so important. Please remember them. From this area, mains question probability is continental shelf. From this area, anywhere they can ask the mains question. And the last part is the movement of water. In this moment, we will learn about waves, then tides and currents. Wave, tide, and currents. In the mains, you can expect the question from this area as well. It is equally important. For example, in the mains, you can be asked, let's say, what are the currents and what is their role in the distribution of temperature, or what is their significance overall, they can ask you. So for example, in the mains, if you will get the question, they can ask you specifically currents of Indian Ocean. Okay? What are the currents which are there in the Indian Ocean? What is the significance of oceanic currents in general? They can ask you this question. Okay? Very much it is possible. So for the currents, you should be knowing their significance. More or less, the significance here, the significance of tides and waves and significance of salinity, they will be all coinciding, right? So don't worry about these significances. You will learn them. Now, in this distribution, movement of water, go and check how many times the question has been asked from this area in last 5 years. So they are asking the various type of tides, and especially these tides are very famous: spring and neap tides. What is the basic difference between wave and tides? Anyone? What is wave and what is tide? How they two are different? Yes. Uh-uh. Okay. Tide is actually vertical movement of the water. Rather, this is horizontal, more or less, right? Then currents are the great volume of the water when it is moving in a definite direction. Then we'll say this is current, right? So this is about oceanography. So we will learn this oceanography in three parts. One part was about what is found in the ocean, on the floor of the ocean. Various features we will discuss. Second, temperature, density, and salinity I'll discuss. And third, we will discuss this pillar, right? After that, oceanography is also over. Starting with the first one, relief features, or you can write down in this manner. This is also known as bathymetry curve. Bathymetry curve, or it is also known as hypsographic curve. Please make this diagram with me. These are flat top mountains and then they are known as guyot. Why they are flat top? Because of the marine erosion, they have been eroded over the top, right? This you all are familiar with. What is this? It is MOR. What was MOR? Mid oceanic rays, right? Then we have this volcanic mountain. This is also volcanic mountain or mountain. Then this entire is sea floor, or it is also known as abyssal floor. Abyssal plain, abyssal floor, right? This is nothing but a trench. So up to here it is continent's boundary, right? So therefore we will call this up to here it is continental margin. And from continental margin onwards or from this area onwards it is the trench, hai na? And now it is entirely ocean, right? So up to here it is nothing but the part of continent only. So we have divided this continental shelf, this continental margin into three parts primarily: continental shelf, continental, this is continental slope, then continental rise, and here you can also write one more point. This point, this is known as shelf break, continental break, okay, or shelf break also. Continental break or shelf break. Some two more words you should know. Let's say this entire biome, right? This entire biome will be known as littoral biome. This is known as littoral biome. Littoral biome. And from here onwards, it is your benthic biome. Benthic means bottom, right? So from here onwards, it is known as benthic biome. Okay. It is not required here, but somewhere if you will learn about this littoral biome, or if somewhere you read about this littoral biome, it is nothing but up to here. This entire area is under littoral biome. Again repeating here, this continental margin we divided into continental shelf, right? Then continental slope, then continental rise, and now it is nothing but end of the continent. Now onwards, it is all about ocean. So in the ocean, you must have learned about this trench. Kahan pe padhi thi? Where we have learned trench is Convergent plate boundaries, yes. So this is our trench. Then here some of the sea mountains. This is your entire floor, sea ocean floor. Then MOR, mid-oceanic ridges. These are volcanic mountains. These volcanic mountains, if they are reaching at height, they could be islands. Also, the islands can be formed by some other methods. For example, coral islands, right? Then we have some flat top mountains. They are known as guyots. Okay. So the first that we are starting with, it is continental margin. So write down continental margin first. So we are going to divide now this continental margin into continental shelf first, then continental shelf break or continental break, then continental slope, and then continental rise. Now one by one, just see this area. Just see this area. This is nothing but the part of continent which is submerged under the oceanic water, and it is under the shallow water conditions, right? And the second thing that you have to understand, this slope is very, very gentle. When it is going inside the ocean, this slope is very gentle, right? So what is this area? The continental shelf first. This is nothing but shallow continental part submerged under oceanic water. When I say shallow means maximum it is 600 feet depth you can find here, or 100 fathom. FATHOM, fathom. It means 1 fathom is equal to 6 feet, right? So here you will find 600 feet depth maximum or 100 fathom, and the slope will be very, very gentle. Gentle slope, somewhere around 1 to 3 degree would be the slope. Slope is very gentle, right? Second thing, the next one more point that you should remember about this continental shelf. Can I say this is the shallow water area? Therefore, it is the area in which sunlight can penetrate easily. Yes or no? Yes. So this is also the area in which sunlight can penetrate. In this zone, you will also find the sunlight can enter, and therefore this is nothing but photic zone. Photic means the zone in which light can penetrate. In case of oceanic water, the light can penetrate up to, we discussed this in case of temperature distribution, up to 200 meter, right? So remember this one, it is nothing but the part of photic zone, right? Now see here, this is the continent which was going down, and here we have seen the shallow was the depth, and this slope was very, very gentle, right? Now what happens is here all of a sudden the slope will become very steeper. Okay, and now from this point onward, when the slope is becoming steeper, this point is known as shelf break. So what is shelf break? Just see here, the second point, shelf break. The point from which slope becomes very steeper. So we say it is nothing but break in the continental shelf. So now onwards we have very steep slope, right? So the third point is the continental slope, and in this slope you can make this diagram again if you want to. So here, if you want to make this diagram again, you can. So this is our break. From here onwards, this is our continental slope. So what we are going to write in continental slope? Number one, this is the area or the region of a steep slope. On an average, 15 degree. Okay, but it can go as high as 30 to 45 degree also somewhere. So don't worry, just I'm writing some brief about this one as of now. What is the chief characteristic feature of this continental slope? It will go up to the deeper, and it can go as deep as 12 kilometer also, right? So depth is the key characteristic feature. The area is characterized by a steep slope and its depth. Okay, so this is the basic feature of slope. This one, slope. Number one, the slope is steep. The second is it will also descend into the depth. Right? Now what happens is, now tell me, this was the continent. This is continent, and here it is ocean, right? Now, most of the rivers which are coming from the continental area, they will drain into the ocean. Yes or no? Yes. So what happens is they are also bringing sedimentation with them, right? Now, when they are, let's say, deloading their sedimentation here, so what happens if I say the sediments are reaching here? Can I say these sediments will not be able to sustain themselves on this slope because it is very, very steeper? So what happens is if the sediments are here, they will roll down along the slope, and when they reach near the bottom somewhat here, again you will see the deposition may start. Okay, so what happens is sometimes in the bottom you will see some continental features are now again rising. So this type of the feature will be found. See here now, let me show you this one. Just see here. So here we discussed continental shelf, then steep was the slope. Now the sediments will roll down and they will be deposited here. Okay? This is known as continental rise, when again the continent is rising. Okay? Why it is rising? Because of rolling down of the sediments along the continental slope. So write down here. If you want to make this diagram, you can add here. So again, some continental part will rise in this way, and then trench will be there. So you can make some sediments which are falling down. And right here, the fourth part. Continental rise. That is nothing but our continental rise. So these are the parts of continental margin. All these four are the parts of continental margin. Then So the first one that we are supposed to delve into the depth, number one, it is the continental shelf. In others, the depth is not required, but here you need the depth. Continental shelves. So the area, again, I'm just writing 2 points. It is nothing but the part of continent which is under the shallow oceanic water. With me? Formation of continental shelves. Number one, due to deposition of sediments, due to deposition of the sediments by especially rivers. So what happens is, for example, see here, everyone, see here. For example, this was the continent and which was going down directly in the ocean in this way. Can I say here you do not have continental shelf? Yes or no? Yes, we do not have any continental shelf because here it is only continental slope. So what happens is the rivers which keep depositing their sediments here, ultimately in the future, what you may see here, you may see that this area is becoming shallower. Yes or no with the sedimentation? Yes. So there is the probability that some shallower depth can create the continental shelf in the future. Yes or no? So please remember, number one, it is because of the deposition of the sediments by the rivers, these continental shelves can be created. Right down here. Just make one diagram if you want to understand. Due to sedimentation, depth of the area becomes shallower with time. So you have atlas with you? Yes, na? Yes? Nahi hai? In every class of the geography, you were supposed to bring the this one Oxford student atlas, है ना? This was the constitution of our class, preamble, right? ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. And oceanography is the must area. How you can forget this one? It's a must, ठीक है? किसी के पास नहीं है? Only one, two. Rest of you? Na? Oh, done. So number one, then how I can show you this one? Atlas आपका देना. Just give me your atlas. Mark page numbers, है ना? Then you can go and just mark this page number. Page number 10. What you are supposed to see on page number 10? Just see this area. Let me show you this area. This is India's physical map, right? Yes. Can you see this blue color and then whitish blue color near the India? Yes, na? So blue color means entirely this is ocean, means benthic part. And light blue means it is the continental margin which is under the oceanic water. Yes or no? Yes. Now just see this map and tell me, in the west side or in the east side, this bluish whitish blue color is more dominant. East or west? Yes? West or east? ईस्ट लग रहा है. कहाँ से लग रहा है यार? यहाँ सी द थिकनेस नियर गुजरात, द वाइडर continental shelves are there in the Gujarat. Yes, so in general the westerns are more wider than the eastern. Now just see this area first. What is my focus? See this area. Can you see here where the Ganga and Brahmaputra, they both are making their deltas? Can you see the wideness of the continental shelf here? Yes. Why? Because of the continental shelves are being created by the deposition of the rivers, right? This is one entry that you are supposed to see in your atlas, right? Take this one. This is one entry, page number 10, physical. You will mark this one. So the areas, so example, regions of river deltas therefore have wider continental shelves. Example, the region of Ganga Delta, Brahmaputra Delta, Ganga Delta, Mahanadi Delta, etc. etc. This is number one. Only exception here is, please write down in the bracket, exception is Mississippi River. Page number 82, you will log it, right? Second factor, how they are formed. We are discussing that one. How the continental shelves are going to be formed. Number one, with the deposition of the sediments by the rivers. Second, for example, this is the land. Now see here, this was the land and here it was ocean. Okay? This is ocean. Here it is land. Now I am saying the land itself is now sinking down under the oceanic water. For example, this is the earlier land and here it was see here, this was the land or the continent, white in color, and here it is, we do have ocean. Now I am saying, if land itself is sinking down under the oceanic water, how is it possible? Can I say with the tectonic activity? Yes or no? Yes. So this is nothing but our Indian peninsula. See here, earlier the shape of Indian peninsula was like this one. Okay, this is Indian peninsula. Now what happened is, in the tertiary time, what happened is the western part of the Western Ghat. Did I discuss this one? Yes, because of the tertiary impact, what happened is this part was broken and it got submerged under the oceanic water. Now what is the new condition of India's this western part? We do have now this type of the structure. And now this entire part is under oceanic water. Now tell me, where is continental shelf? Can I say this entire area is nothing but now continental shelf? Yes or no? Yes. So because of, can I say submergence also, the continental shelves can be created? Yes or no? Yes. So write down the second factor, due to the submergence of the continental land or the land parts. Submergence. What were the courses which were running for them? क्या चल रहा था मेरे बाद में? मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री चल रही थी, अभी भी चल रही है. पॉलिटी इज ओवर है ना? पॉलिटी एंड, अच्छा अभी स्टिल देयर आर सम क्लासेस. ओके ओके ओके, ठीक है ठीक है. So here we have the continental shelf, right? Now, in case of India, see here, this is the shape of India. India's in general slope is from west to east, and therefore most of the rivers which are starting even from the Western Ghat area also, they are going towards Bay of Bengal area. Can you understand now? This is the natural slope. Now, because the western part has been submerged, this is, you can see now, the 150 km is the wideness of western side of our continental shelves, right? Because of the submergence. And therefore, near the Gujarat, the continental shelf was wider. Wider means towards the oceanic parts, right? Then here we have, because of the rivers are draining in the Bay of Bengal, na? So here we have the continental shelf of around, how much of the width? It is around 50 km. So where the continental shelves are more extensive in case of India, western or the eastern part? Western. So if I give you in a prelims, let's say the continental shelves in the western sides are more extending compared to the eastern side. Why? Because of because of submergence of the western parts, right? So remember, this question can be asked, right? So western continental shelves are more wider and more extensive compared to the eastern continental shelves due to submergence of the land. So second reason is submergence. Then now see here, because you do not have atlas, so where is India? This one? Mm-hmm. I just rotated this earth more. Yes. Now see here. Now can you see this light blue color? Can you see this one? This area? Yes or no? Yes. So in the western side, you will see this is more extensive compared to the eastern. In the eastern, in this area. Why this area? Because of Ganga Brahmaputra Delta. You can see this area has more extensive continental shelf. Now, can I say the primary reason of the continental shelf in the western is your submergence, whereas here it is emergence also? Yes or no? Western part is submergent boundaries, and here it is emergent boundary. So emergence is the reason behind this eastern part's continental shelf. Now tell me, if the rivers are depositing their sediments more in the eastern side, is it easy for the ships to enter into these ports if they are here? Nahi na? Kyun? Because yes, exactly. So what happens is, continuously you have to trace this sand off from the area if you want better navigation facilities in the eastern side. So what happens is, therefore eastern sides are not natural harbors. Means these are not the natural areas jahan pe navigation is easy, right? So what happens is, therefore in the eastern side we do not have any such big port or the major port except Vishakhapatnam. So we do have only Vishakhapatnam as a major port. The second that you can include, it is your Masulipatnam. Otherwise, these all the ports are minor ports. Okay? We do have one more port here near the Hooghly. That is also the example of tidal port. What is this tidal port? I will discuss. Now see here, all of the major ports are located on which side? on the western side. Why? Because the western side's continental shelf provides natural harbor facility. And second, because it is not heavily sedimented, so it is easy for the navigation also. समझ में आया? So therefore, this is one reason why the western side we do have the major ports. I'll discuss these reasons. Now come here. We have these two areas. One is Gulf of Kutch, one is your yes. See here. Do you have the atlas, please? Atlas dena. So on page number 10, if you will go, I think on 10 you will find this area. Please mark these two areas. One is this one. See here. On page number 10, this area. Here, it is your Gulf of Khambat. Please mention this one. Gulf of Khambat, this one. Or Khambat. And second, this is Gulf of or Kutch, right? So what happens is, because of the wider continental shelf, can you see what is the extension of the continental shelf here? Can you see this one? Yes. Can you see here also? The continental shelves are very, very extensive. So what happens is, in this area, keep this one. Please mention these 2 points on page number 10, right? This page numbers, right? Yes. So see here, this is your Gulf of Khambat and Kutch. Now, one more phenomena, just side note, just see here. What are waves? Just I'm introducing them in brief, right? See here. For example, it is the oceanic water, and here we do have the continent, right? This is oceanic water. Now, what happens is, the waves are primarily, they are considered as nothing but the energy of the winds, right? So what happens is, for example, the winds which are blowing in this area, they are transferring their energy into this water molecules. So what happens is, the water molecules, therefore they will rise. When they are rising up, what happens is, under their own, let's say, load and the impact of gravity, they will again come down. Again, what happens is, they will be pulled, then again they will come out. This type of the circular movement will be created. Yes or no? This moment where the actually water is not moving, it is the energy which is propagating through the molecules of the water. Samajh mein aaya? So it is the energy of the wind which is actually deflecting this water in the horizontal manner. This is nothing but our waves. Samajh mein aaya? Now see here, what is the important feature about wave? See here. For example, this is the continent. And here, let's say the one wave is created. Let's say this is the wave. In this way, right? So these are the waves which are created. Now in between these waves, for example, this is the wave. One height, then again low, then again one height in this way. These are known as crest or the peaks of the wave. And here the length in between, it is known as wavelength, that is lambda, right? So what is wavelength? Wavelength is nothing but the distance of the two peaks, right? Now what happens is, very interestingly, see here now, what happens is, if the depth of the bottom, see this is the bottom, if the depth of the bottom is less than lambda by 2, for example, this depth where this is nothing but the bottom is less than lambda by 2. For example, this was 1 meter. The height, this length was 1 meter, and if this is less than 0.5 meter, what will happen? This wave will break down. Okay? So you must have seen this phenomena. When the wave approaches towards the continents, they will break near the continent. Yes or no? Yes. So what happens is, this is the phenomena, and this phenomena is known as feel the bottom phenomena. Feel the bottom phenomena means, what happens is, see here now. Feel the bottom means, now this water will hit the bottom, and after hitting the bottom, this will be bounced up. But at the same time, this wave will be dissipated. Samajh mein aaya? So if I say, if the continental shelf are wider, can I say they will be very, very conducive areas for the breaking of waves? Yes or no? Wider means the wave will approach there and will break. Okay? Why the wave will break? Because these are nothing but shallow areas. Shallow areas means lambda by 2 will be reduced. So if the lambda by 2 is reducing, if the depth is reducing, the wave will break. This is your feel the bottom phenomena. And because of this feel the bottom of phenomena, can I say the waves will jump high near the wider continental shelf? Yes or no? Yes. Now tell me where the height of the tides will be greatest in India. In which areas you will find the heights of great height, the tides of great height. I am giving you option, Gujarat or Bay of Bengal. Bay of Bengal. It is Gujarat because it is continental shelf which are extremely wide here. They are very, very extensive. So especially the Gulf of Khambat and Gulf of Kutch, they too are very, very famous for the tidal energy production. Can you understand what is the reason? The reason is because of the height which is approached by the waves, which is reached by the waves. Why? Because of feel the bottom phenomena. समझ में आया? So in the side, हाँ जी. Shallow means the depth is reducing, na? So I am saying if this depth is less than half of this distance, then feel the bottom phenomena will work and the wave will break. Okay? If it was not the shelf, let's say this was the condition, the wave must have continuously going on. Okay? So what is there in the side note? Make this one. Make this diagram. Again, we'll discuss in the waves. In this way, make this wave. I am just writing directly due to feel the bottom phenomena. Therefore, wider continental shelves, next is, therefore, wider continental shelves are known for greater height of tides and waves. Example, Gulf of Kutch and Khambat Therefore, this Gulf of Kutch and Gulf of Khambat region of the Gujarat is very famous for tidal energy production, right? In case of tidal energy production, the top states are Number one, it is Gujarat. Second, it is Maharashtra. Tamil Nadu is the third. Then, if you want to make one more diagram in the side, you can make in this way also. Wavelength it is. This is less than, not equal to, less than lambda by 2, right? So here, the wave will break if the depth of the water is reducing, right? Shallower is the depth, more would be the height of tide. Remember this phenomenon. Yes, one of the reason, right? This is also one of the reason why the western sides of the, let's say, our oceanic areas will have more tourism. Why? Because people will go and just have this adventure in such height, na. Normal height में थोड़ी मजा आता है ना? So we will go for such high tides, such high heights of the waves, है ना? They will always lure some of the tourists. The tourist potential of this sites is also therefore very high. Okay? Then the third thing, we are still in the area which we are discussing. That is, what are we discussing? This is nothing but how the continental shelves are formed. The one reason we discussed, that is deposition. The second reason is it is the submergence. The third reason, write down. Third reason, if it is the mains exam, you can separate these terms. Hai na? For example, I am writing in this one third reason itself. Number one, can I say sinking of some land parts? Sinking of the continental parts. Tilting. Second is tilting of the continental parts. And, sorry, one more. Faulting and tectonic activity. By these all the things also, the continental shelves can be created. Then faulting, sinking, tilting, tectonic activity, this can also be responsible. For example, the western side of India's, this wider continental shelves are nothing but the outcome of tectonic activity, na? The tertiary tectonic activity. So this is third reason. You can give the example here. Western continental shelves of India. Western continental shelves of India. Fourth, due to marine erosion. Due to marine erosion. For example, this is the sea or the ocean. Now we do not have any continental shelf as of now here. है क्या कोई? नहीं ना? We do not have continental shelf, means the gently sinking area. Yes. So here we have continental slope rather, right? So what happens is, now see here, the oceanic waves and the oceanic currents will hit this area continuously again and again. So ultimately what will happen, after some time you will see here complete erosion will occur, and this erosion will bring these sediments somewhat here. Now these sediments will be deposited at the bottom. Why? Because of the friction in this area. So what happens is the area which is being eroded here, the sediments which are created, they will be spreaded in this region. So what happens is ultimately you will see this is wave and the marine erosion, you can say wave erosion primarily, right? So what happens is ultimately you will see this type of the feature may be created. So earlier this area was also there. Now we have eroded this area and this is nothing but a shallow bottom now. This type of the platform which has been created here, this is the platform which has been created by the waves action. Therefore, this is known as wave cut platform. Wave cut platform. So these are also known as wave cut platform. These wave cut platforms are responsible for creating the continental margins, right? So the marine erosion is also one reason that can create continental shelf. This is fourth reason. The fifth and the last reason. Have you heard this term coral somewhere? What are corals? Huh? Yes, what are corals? Anyone? Coral? No? Coral? Anyone? In? Not aquarium. Okay. So coral is nothing but a kind of symbiotic relationship between two. One is known as coral polyp, and the second, that organism is known as zooxanthellae, right? So what happens is, for example, on the upper top it is zooxanthellae will rest here, and in the bottom it is coral polyp, right? For example, this is coral polyp, and here it is zooxanthellae. That can be written in two ways. This can be written as ZOO also and XAN. This is nothing but the relation, that is symbiotic relation. We'll learn about this one in between the zooxanthellae and coral polyp, right? Now what happens is this zooxanthellae is the one which will bring the food or which will make the food, and this food will be supplied to the coral polyp. Then what coral polyp is doing? Coral polyp is providing support, the basic support, and secondly, it will also provide some of the nutrients to the zooxanthellae, right? So this is a kind of symbiotic relationship. Now what happens is these coral polyps are known for making their shells, right? These shells are nothing but ultimately they will create some reef structures. So what happens is, for example, this is one coral polyp organism. They are making their CaCO3 shell, calcium carbonate shell. You must have seen those white structure, seep वगैरह देखा है आपने? Yes, the shell of the marine organism, you must have seen the white color. Yes. So what happens is they will continuously make this CaCO3 shell, and ultimately after their death, what happens is, see here, for example, here we do have the area and this is oceanic water. See here now. This is oceanic water. Now here there is the chance that they may continuously make their corals and they will be deposited because of their death. So what happens is, after their death, these organism shells will be remain there, and over this shell continuously the height of this area will increase, and ultimately what happens is this area may see this type of the structure. Yes, and sometimes you will see here, sometime you will see this structures will be formed here. Can I say it is nothing but again the continental shelves are being formed? So in this area, only one line you are supposed to write, that coral reef can also create continental shelf. That's it. Okay? So write down. A reef made by the corals Can I say example? The entire this Lakshadweep islands and their continental shelves are nothing but made up of what? Coral reefs, right? So example, Lakshadweep islands. Lakshadweep islands are nothing but the outcome of coral reef formation, and therefore whatever their continental shelves are, they are nothing but the outcome of coral reef structures, right? So this is how many reasons we have discussed? 4, 5th. 5, है So 5 are the reasons, the main reasons behind the formation. You can spread the third point into 2 more points. For example, you can also write sinking of the land separately, then tilting of the land separately, faulting of the land separately, if it is the question in the mains. These are the 5 main reasons, right? Is this clear to everyone? Yes. Now some more important points which are specifically required for the prelims. For example, one more point, see here. For example, this is America, and in this area here, you will not find continental shelves, or if you will find, they would be extremely narrow. Whereas in this side, you will find probably the extensive continental shelves. Now in the prelims, they can give you why the western coast of the, or why the western margins of the continents, generally those which are having the fold mountains near the margin, will not have any continental shelves. Why? What is my question? See here. What are the mountains here? Tell me. This is Rockies. Yes. So what is my statement? First listen this carefully. The areas of the continents, or the western margins of the continents, or the margins of the continents where the fold mountains are found facing the oceans, they do not have this continental shelves nearby, or if they are there, they are extremely narrow. Why? Tell me now why. Because of, yes, exactly. See here. So we have learned about this continental shelf. See here. For example, we have seen this was the shelf. See here. This was the shelf. Then break. This is slope. Then again rise. And then here it was a trench. Now, if I say if the trench is found near the continent here, can I say the continental shelves will not be found then? If there is, let's say, the convergence of two plates, कहाँ से बनेगी वहाँ पे continental shelf? Because there is trench, there is submergence which is going on. समझ में आया? The sinking will go here. Yes or no? Yes. So if the area is dominated by the trenches, you will not find the continental shelves in that area, because everything is going down. And for the continental shelf formation, what is required? These extensive plains are required in the oceanic water. So write this statement with me. This is important for your prelims, right? And right here. The regions of trench or active margins of continents. What is the meaning of active margins? Tell me. If I say Himalayas are active, the active margins means where the convergence is going on. They can give you the regions of the trenches or the active margins of the continents will not have continental shelves, or if they have, they would be extremely narrower. Extremely narrower. Due to convergence of plates. Example. Right? Example, near the west margin of the continent, that is America. Here you will also show this Rockies mountain. So if I ask you if the continental margins where the fold mountains are located, you will not find any greater, let's say, or any wide continental shelves. Remember this one. What is the? We have no idea. Therefore, we have considered that exception. This is against the rule. Okay? The rule says deposition must have the wider continental shelf, but probably there is sea erosion which is more violent here. Okay? The Gulf Stream is moving here with a greater speed. So probably the deposition factor is overcoming or is negated by the sea erosion. Okay? So exception, therefore, it is. Done? Next, now the significance of the continental shelf. What, according to you, is the significance of continental shelf? Tell me now. Continental shelf and their significance, right? Number one, because it is a photic zone, na? It is the zone in which sunlight can penetrate. So therefore, most of the life, most of the nutrients will be found here. Can I say if the sunlight is there, if the nutrients are there, most of the food chains will be found in this region? Yes or no? If the food chains are there, what would be the biodiversity? Tremendous would be the biodiversity in this area, right? So write down the first one. It is a photic zone. What is the meaning of photic zone? If anybody has any doubt, you can write in the bracket where the sunlight can penetrate. The photic zone, therefore, it is known for its tremendous biodiversity. So most of the fish which are are harvested from the oceanic water, they are found in this region, right? So write down here. Are harvested from this area. This region. Third, this region is also important for key minerals, right? So minerals are found here. Key minerals are found here. For example, where is Bombay High? Bombay High. It is in the continental shelf area. You must have heard now the Treaty of Bassein. Yes, na? Bassein. Yes. So Bassein High, Bombay High, they are nothing but the areas where the petroleum reserves we are exploring. Yes, na? So these are nothing but in the continental shelf area only. Taken near the Bombay. So second, here you can write down around 20 to 25% of petroleum resources of the world come from this region. Come from these regions. Right? Second, in the minerals only, or if you are writing in the mains, you can also separate this point. The fourth point I am writing, this is nothing but the polymetallic nodules. What is polymetallic nodules? For example, this would be a nodule in which some of the metals would be found in combination. For example, especially we are interested here about nickel, ferrous, and manganese, Mn, right? So these can be found in a lump. This lump is known as together polymetallic nodule. What is polymetallic nodule? Where some of the nodules will be found. Where some of the key minerals will be lumped together. This is your polymetallic nodule. So this area is also equally important for the polymetallic nodules. And these nodules are so important for any of the country. Yes or no? Yes. So, for example, we have this, let's say we have this, our continental area, this one, coastal area. From here onwards, India can go for 20 nautical miles, 200 nautical miles. This is the area from the base point in the oceanic system. You will learn about this one in the future. This is known as EEZ, that is known as exclusive economic zone. Exclusive economic zone. Now, in this EEZ, any of the country can go for the exploration of minerals which are economically important, right? So India can also explore this waters of the Indian Ocean for up to 200 nautical miles for the exploration of key mineral resources. Now, for the polymetallic nodules, or for this permission, we have this one institute that is known as International Seabed Authority. International Seabed Authority, and this is situated in Jamaica. This provides license to any country to explore the economic minerals which are in the economically exclusive zones. So this is located at Jamaica, and the license of the exploration is provided by this institute. Please remember. It is located in Jamaica, International Seabed Authority. So the license to any country is granted by this International Seabed Authority. Now, you must have heard this one, that the China is in dispute with its neighbors, most of its neighbors. And the China is also making artificial islands in its water. For example, we have the last boundary here. Okay? So the last boundary, that is the continental base of the India, is here. So from here also, the 200 nautical miles of the water belongs to India. Okay? For example, if I dump this island, if I dump some of the sand here, near the Sri Lanka, and if I am creating some artificial islands, क्या हो रहा है इससे? I am just extending my boundary, yes or no? So China is doing the same. So what China is doing? China is creating artificial islands in the water, and now from this island only, he is saying that this 200 nautical miles are ours, not of Philippines. Okay? In this way, they are not only capturing the land territories of the various countries, but also the water territories of the other countries. Okay? So this is how the China is so invasive. Now, the next thing is the importance we are discussing. How many important points we have written? 4. Polymetallic nodules. है ना? 5th, can I say these are the regions of high tidal energy potential? Yes, na? So these are the regions of tidal energy production. Tidal energy production. Always talk about examples if you do have. For example, you can give the example of Gulf of Kutch or Khambat, anything that you can give here. 6th is they are also the sites of tourism. Why tourism? Because of the great height of waves and tides will attract the tourists also. This is the 6th thing. Huh? Corals, ठीक है. 7th, see here. Wider continental shelves provides natural harbor facility therefore such regions are suitable for port developments. Port developments. Example here we will give the example of west side or east side? West side of India, western coast of India, which has the extensive continental shelf, and therefore the natural harbor facility is supported here, and hence major ports are located in the western side. 7th point, huh? 8th point you can also write here, some of the biomedical resources can also be found. Biomedically important resources can also be found from this area. Biomedical means some of the, let's say, the multivitamin like spirulina you can extract from here, sea grasses and all these things. Okay? So the biomedically important resources can also be found from the region. This is all about continental shelf. So what is continental shelf, how they are formed, what is their significance? This could be the probable question for the mains, right? And in the prelims also, the question may come from this area, right? Next is one more in the side you can write down why western coastal sides have major ports in India. Why? This is the one reason. There could be another reasons also. Most of the major ports are located here, except except Vishakhapatnam. Now my question is why the major ports are located here? The geographical reason number 1. What is the geographical reason here? Tell me. The continental shelves are wider, number 1, right? So number 1, why the major ports are located in the western side? Number 1, here the wider are continental shelves. Yes, then what is the second reason? The second reason is, see here, the southwest monsoon. Indian geography थोड़ी हुई है आपकी? Yes, नहीं ना? So you will learn about this southwest monsoon. This will come from here, right? In this way. So these are nothing but the moisture-loaded winds. They will support, can I say, they will support the navigation in the western side? Yes or no? Yes. So write down the presence of presence of southwest monsoonal winds which support navigation. Third, so where is Suez Canal? Suez Canal is located here now. Suez Canal, yes or no? Somewhere here. It is Suez Canal. So write down the third factor, proximity to Suez Canal route. Fourth, can I say fourth would be the India's dependence over the West Asia for the petroleum resources? Yes or no? Yes, so write down. Right, so from the West Asia we are connected, therefore, so the western ports are therefore more developed. Can I say the fifth reason can also be the historical reason? What is historical reason? When this person, what is the man who discovered India? Vasco da Gama. He also reached from which side? Western या eastern? कहाँ से आया था? Western से आया ना? And most of the Arab trade which was going on earlier, what was the Arab trade routes? This was the trade route. And also you will learn about this one. The monsoon, that is the monsoon, now we know, it was also a phenomena which was first discovered by the Arab traders, right? So this is therefore the fifth reason, that is ancient trade was going on from the western side. Therefore, the western side ports are more developed, right down, due to the ancient trade. Primarily, this happened to be towards the western coastal sites. For example, the Arab trade, you can write the example. Arab traders were utilizing the concept of southwest monsoon also. So these are the some reasons. If in the prelims asked, let's say, why the most of the major ports of India are located in the western side, these are the reasons. Okay. Next, continental shelves we are done with. Slope, there is nothing which is required. Then the continental rise we have already written. One line is required only. Then last was rise is over. Then continental margin is over. Now the trenches. What are the trenches? We have already learned about the trenches. So I am skipping this part. Trenches we have learned now. We have marked these trenches in the Pacific also. Do you remember? The Californian Trench, Peru Chile Trench, Tonga Trench, yes or no? Yes. What is the deepest trench in the world? It is Mariana or the Mariana. It is in which ocean? Can you tell me? It is in Pacific, right? What is the deepest trench of Atlantic? Can you tell me? It is Puerto Rico. Please write down somewhere. Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico Trench. Write down the page number that you are supposed to locate. Page number is 78. Go and see the trenches. This is the deepest of Atlantic. And for Indian Ocean, the deepest is Sumatra. Okay? 101, sorry, I have written mistakenly. 101, 101. 101. Puerto Rico दिया हुआ है, just give me the atlas. Puerto Rico Trench. It must be somewhere around Caribbean islands. वेस्ट इंडीज के पास. Just see this Puerto Rico. You have spent almost 2 months now with the coaching, है ना? 2 month हो गया ना? How are you feeling now? Confident or terrified? Tell me. How are you feeling now? You are all confident now that yes, we will break down the entire resistance of clearing IAS examination. Yes or no? कैसा लग रहा है? ठीक लग रहा है? Okay. So Puerto Rico is given on page number 101. You can make this one. Now Indian Ocean also we have marks. Do you remember St. Paul Ridge? We have marked some of the ridges. Right? Just write down. Trenches we are done with. Now in the relief, what are the other features? The sea mountains. Na? First I am discussing smaller feature. Sea mounts. What are these sea mounts? These are the mountains on the oceanic floor. They are sea mounts, right? Then we have guyots. What are these guyots? Yes, flat top sea mountains. Top of such mountain due to sea erosion or marine erosion rather. Marine erosion, right? Then we have islands, huh? We have some of the islands. Islands can be created due to 3 reasons. Number one is volcanic islands. Can you give me one example of volcanic island? We have already discussed this one. Can I say Iceland? Example, Iceland. Yes or no? Is it volcanic? Iceland, कहाँ पे था? Just over the MOR because of the volcanic activity. We have also learned O and O collision. And because of this O and O collision, what was happening? It was creating series of the volcanic islands on the water or the water surface, right? So O and O collision. Just go and please revise this topics. Island arcs are created. What is the meaning of island arc? Island arc means this is one island, second, third, fourth, and they make a kind of arc shape, right? Archipelago or the island arcs. Volcanic island. Okay. Second, Iceland is created over MOR of Atlantic. MOR of Atlantic. Have you seen the previous year questions of the prelims or the mains? देख रहे हो? Are they doable? Are they doable? After the classes, can you solve them? Yes or no? Please, again I am repeating, if you are not solving or if you are not looking at PYQs, then it would be very difficult to identify which are the areas which should be given importance and which are the areas in which you should not go into the depth. Only with the help of this PYQ, you will be able to understand. For example, I have seen multiple questions in the test series which are so difficult that even they cannot be solved by the optional students also. Why? Because they have to make, I'm not talking about Forum IS, our test series is always, about this SFGs. आप देखते हो? अच्छा, आपके पास सभी नहीं है. Next year you will sit in the SFG, है ना? So the आप देते हो? Have you given? So how the questions are? Difficulty level, I know they are ठीक ठाक है. Yes, better. So in some of the coachings I have seen in the test series, they are giving so difficult questions just to strike the fear in the minds of the students कि you have to join this test series. Otherwise आपको कुछ नहीं आता है. So what happens is some of the questions when I was seeing na, so I realized being a teacher also, it was very difficult to solve them because of the vagueness, because of the lines they have taken from some of the sources which are otherwise not required for the GS students, right? So don't be terrified by the test series, just focus on the PYQs. If you have the PYQs in your mind, you will be able to locate where you have to reach easily. Otherwise, it would be very difficult. Okay? Market is full of the resources otherwise. So map points. In the last class, I'll give you the areas, and from this area, if you will go now, you will check from these areas only the questions are coming. Okay, I'll give you the areas. Second, volcanic island. Then second, the coral islands can be there. Coral islands, for example, we have seen Lakshadweep. Third type of the islands can be continental islands. Continental islands means they are more or less the part of the continent, rather they are submerged or they are emerging from the ocean, then they are creating this kind of continental islands. For example, can you give me any continental island? New Zealand, yes, very good. So this is nothing but a kind of part of continent, okay? But they are now surrounded with the water. So these are the islands. Islands can be formed. So continental islands can be formed due to, let's say, emergence also. Emergence means the rivers are depositing their sediments, right? So the land territory is coming out from the water. I gave you the example of Newmore Island, Sagar Island, the river. This is your river of Brahmaputra was also creating one Majuli Island. Did I discuss that one? So they are nothing but the islands which are created by emergence or by deposition of the sediments. And some of the islands can also be created by the submergence of the land. So these are four regions actually, 1, 2, 3. 3 can be classified into 4, 3 and 4. So these are the four regions why the islands are formed. Submergence means, for example, give me a one page. Give me the one page. Okay. For example, this was the land territory, and now see here, some of the land is submerged under the water, but now again this point is coming out from the water. So this is nothing but emergent boundary, and this entire boundary is submergent boundary. So because of the submergence, some parts could be visible. Okay, they are then islands. Okay, because of the submergence, see here what happens is this was the land. Okay, now it got submerged under the water. So if the submergence is like this is the land. Now this entire area is under the water except this tip. Then this is island. Okay. So volcanic islands can be there. In the volcanic island, MOR, hotspot, both will be covered. Hotspot, can you give me the example of hotspot islands? Hawaiian, very famous, with Midway Island, Emperor Island, right? So these are the examples. So this is about the island. What other features were there? The bottom of the ocean, ठीक है, I'll give you the handout, उसमें लिखा होगा. This is nothing but the extensive floor area, which is nothing but ocean's floor. MOR we have discussed, right? Then write down one thing, that is ridge or the mid-oceanic ridges in the Indian Ocean. Again, you will go to page number 101 and try to locate these. Okay? Most of the things will not be found there. I am just making this diagram. Please make this one with me. This is nothing but mid-oceanic ridge of Indian Ocean. The first one is Lakshadweep, Socotra. Then we have here Chagos. Chagos race. ठीक है. Here you will find then Chagos, St. Paul Ridge. This Socotra can also be given in your atlas in a separate manner. For example, they could have given Socotra separately also. Here it is Lakshadweep Socotra. Socotra can also be there. This is also known as Carlsberg Ridge, right? So this is Socotra or the Carlsberg. Here in the middle part, this is Chagos St. Paul Race. Then if you go further south, this is St. Paul and it is Amsterdam. They are not mentioned, means all these are not mentioned. Some of the examples you may find. St. Paul, Amsterdam, Bridge, this entire region. This will be divided into two parts. One is here. This is known as Indian Antarctic. Ridge. And the second, this side, it is known as Kerguelen. Or it is also known as Gasberg. Ridge. These are the ridges in Indian Ocean. Okay. Near the Andaman, you can also make one more. Near the Andaman Trench. This is Andaman, not trench, sorry, Andaman Ridge. Andaman Ridge. One more, just south to Andaman Ridge, 90° east ridge. These all are the ridges in Indian Ocean. Done. Right? So rest of the things which are less important and we have already discussed them, therefore I'll provide them in a handout. Okay? For example, sea mountains. What we are supposed to write in that? So I'll just give you the brief document about them. 3-4 lines, that's it. So first part of our oceanography is over, that is the relief features, right? The second part, what was the second part? The three things which were number one, temperature, second, density, third, the salinity. So the first that we are starting with, it is temperature. The most important part, it is the temperature. Now if I say, let's say we have the two sources of the water. In one, the volume of the water is too huge. Okay? Enormous volume of water is there. And in the second, the volume of water is comparatively less. Tell me where the minimum and maximum temperatures will occur with a wide gap. Kahan, for example, see here. This is one water body A, the second water body B. Now tell me, in which area you will find maximum and minimum temperature and unke beech mein the gap would be more. I am saying the range of temperature. What is the range of temperature? For example, in the daytime, daily reaches to 48 degrees C, whereas in the night it is 20 degrees C. So what is the range of daily? 28 degrees C is the difference between maximum and minimum. So this is daily range of temperature. Now out of these two water bodies, where the daily range of temperature would be less, kahan pe kam hogi? A, why? Yes, because of it is the water, it will take time to become warmer and it will also take time to become cooler. So remember, let's say the voluminous body of the water will show you the less range of diurnal temperature. समझ में आया? So out of all the oceans, which is the largest one? Pacific or Atlantic? Pacific. So where the diurnal range of the temperature would be less? It would be the Pacific, right? So the first thing is, just make this diagram also. So range of the temperature that we will call here diurnal range. Diurnal means in the daytime, the maximum and minimum temperatures difference. Okay? Less range is found in this one. In big water bodies, less diurnal range of temperature is found. Please remember this one. Okay? Diurnal range, if you have any doubt here, you can write down what is diurnal range. Maximum minus minimum temperature of the day. Maximum minus minimum temperature of the day. Now the first thing that we will learn about this temperature, we will see these three dimensions in the temperature. Number one, see here. For the prelim, this area is very, very significant. For example, number one, we'll learn about the factors which can affect the distribution of temperature in the oceanic water, number one. The second is we will learn about horizontal distribution and vertical distribution of the water. Vertical distribution of temperature. So these are going to be the three dimensions in the temperature. So the first that we are starting with, write down the factors affecting. And remember, from this area in the prelims, you will expect or you will have at least one question. Not from temperature alone, I am saying, from temperature, salinity and density. One question for sure. The second question will come from the second side, that is the movement of the water. It could be from the tide, it could be from the oceanic currents. So alternate years, they are asking the question from this one, wave, from the tides and from the currents. So please remember, out of these two classes, one of the today and the second that I'll take on next day, you will expect or you will have at least 2 to 3 questions in the prelims. Take out of these two classes only, and one question in the mains most probably, right? Now the first one is factors affecting the distribution of temperature. Right now, the first dimension, factors affecting number one, insolation. Insolation. Now tell me, if I ask you in general, let's say this is equator. From equator to pole, what should happen to the insolation? In general, it should decrease in general, except STHP, except STHP. So what happens is, in this area, if I say the insolation decreases from equator to pole in general, therefore, what should happen to the temperature of the oceanic water? It should also, in general, decrease. Yes or no? Yes. So write down here, insolation. So from equator to pole, temperature in general, please write one word, in general, from equator to pole, temperature of oceanic water decreases with insolation, because insolation is also increasing. Yes, so I'm writing here on the diagram also. So what is the exception here? Can you tell me what is exception? The exception is this area. What is this area? STHP belt. So exception is except STHP STHP belt. Now, can you tell me why the maximum temperature was noticed on the STHP belt rather than equatorial region? Tell me. Yes, absolutely stable weather it was in the STHP. Therefore, the sky was very clear. All the amount of insolation was reaching on the surface, number one. Second, also the air was sinking down on these latitudes. So what will happen with the sinking? Effect of compression. So compression effect will be created and therefore temperature will increase into STHP regions. Did I discuss the formation of hot deserts? The 5-6 factors we have discussed now. Yes, na? So in this region, so write down in the STHP belt, because of maximum insolation. So I am now writing in short because we have discussed already these all the factors. So maximum insolation reaches here. And second is compression. The second is compression effect, which is created by the sinking air, that is sinking upper atmospheric air, right? So because of that, you will see the STHP belt will have the maximum temperature. Why the equator temperature is somewhat less? This time we will add third factor also. What is this third factor? It is the rainfall, right? So here on the equator, we will say the less insolation reaches here. Number one, because it is clouded. Second, because of the rainfall in the equatorial region is very, very high. We have learned about the equatorial type of climate. Did I discuss that one? So in the equatorial type of the climate, the rainfall is a 4 o'clock phenomena. Did I discuss this 4 o'clock rainfall? So because of daily rainfall, temperature of the water is regulated. समझ में आया? Can I say in the salinity also, in the equatorial region, you will find somewhat less salinity because of high rainfall? Yes or no? Yes, right? And then third, what was the third reason? Because of heavy evaporation. Here, rather than this temperature rise, evaporation would be more. Okay? So all these three regions are working in this equatorial area and therefore less would be the temperature compared to the STHP. Not this is the less temperature. This is also a very high temperature. But compared to the STHP, we will say this is somewhat less. This is one factor, that is insolation. The second factor, it is the presence of oceanic currents. Presence of oceanic currents. Horizontal distribution is nothing but this one was horizontal distribution. Horizontally, from the equatorial to polar areas, the temperature will in general decrease. Okay, this was horizontal distribution. Now see here, presence of oceanic current. For example, this is your America. Okay. Here, what is the stream which is flowing here? Page number, go to page number 106, map this down. The presence of Gulf Stream is here. Gulf Stream. And Gulf Stream is warmer current. So what would be the temperature in this area? Temperature of the oceanic water will be warmer, yes or no? Yes. So we are discussing about the temperature of the oceanic water. And here, if I ask about this water, so here we have the Californian cold current. What would be the temperature here? Comparatively less. So the presence of cold current and the warm current will decide what would be the temperature of that area. समझ में आया? So write down here. Presence of warm current is responsible for rise in temperature of oceanic water. Example, Gulf of Mexico. So Gulf of Mexico is nothing but this area, right? The Gulf of Mexico will have higher temperature than Gulf of California. This is one example. The second example, if you are, let's say, writing in the mains, then you can always talk about this example. This is the example of here the presence of which current? The presence of North Atlantic current. Did I discuss this phenomena? Yes, na? The presence of the North Atlantic drift is responsible for making these areas ice free even in the harsh winter. Okay? So write down the second one, the presence of warm Atlantic Ocean current, Atlantic drift, North Atlantic drift. I'm writing here, increases the temperature near northwestern parts of Europe. So these are the two examples. You can take any of the example, go to page number 106, identify the warm current and the cold current, and you can easily talk about the temperatures, right? The third factor, prevailing winds. Third example, each and every factor that I'm discussing is important and can be the part of your prelims question, right? So be careful. I'll show you the previous year question from these factors, right? The prevailing winds. In the prevailing winds, this is the third factor. Now, we discussed about the trade winds, we discussed about the westerlies, polar easterlies, right? Now, for example, if I ask you, let's say, this is your Australia, and here it is the equator, and over this equatorial area, we have, let's say, this is Peru and now, in case of your Indian geography, you will learn about these concepts of La Nina, El Nino along with the Indian monsoon. Just I'm giving you the briefing. So what happens is in the normal circumstances, this is the equator. In the normal circumstances, what are the winds nearby this equator? Tell me, what are these winds? These are trade winds. So what happens is the trade winds are blowing in this direction. Yes or no? Yes. So now tell me, the trade winds are offshore in this area or they are offshore here? Tell me carefully. They are offshore here, yes or no? Offshore means they are coming from the land area. Yes, na? They are blowing from the land area. So they are offshore here. Can I say the offshore winds, they are trade winds, they will drag the warm water layers from this area? Yes or no? And this warm water will be piled up here. I already discussed this one while we were discussing the trade winds, right? And I said there, I will bring to this topic. Again, I will come to this topic in case of oceanic water. Okay? Now see here. The warm pool of the water will be accumulated in which area? In this region of Australia. That is known as warm Pacific pool. Right? So in general, what happens is the warm water is always accumulated towards the Australia. Right? So can I say the Australia will have low pressure conditions therefore because of this high temperature? Yes or no? Yes. And in general, because here the water, that is the surfacial water, is removed, what would be happen here? What would happen here? The cold current will upwell here. The cold bottom water will come on the surface, right? I discussed this one in case of the trade winds. Just go and check the diagram. Okay? Now see here. If the offshore trade winds were here, they were responsible for dragging the water from this area and the water was being piled up in this region. Now what happens is, if I ask you, see here, what is the role of winds in terms of temperature distribution? Now see this very carefully. This is Pacific Ocean. Yes, na? Now if I write here, in the lower latitudes, please verify this statement. In the lower latitude, it is the offshore trade wind, which are responsible for warming of eastern margins of oceans. Is this correct? ध्यान से देखो and just tell me, is it correct or is it incorrect? Is it correct? No? Why? It is the western margin of the ocean. This is Pacific Ocean. Here it is the western part and here it is eastern part of the ocean. Now please see this statement very carefully in the prelims, है ना? This question will be asked again. This has been asked in 2022, ठीक है? And earlier also this has been asked. Now in the lower latitude, what is the wind? Offshore trade wind. The first word that you will see here, it is offshore or onshore. What is written? Exactly you will see there. The second you will see the margin. Which margin? Eastern or western. And the third word that you will have to be careful whether it is written ocean or the continent. Now is it correct? This statement is incorrect. It is rather which margin of the oceans? It should be western part of the ocean will be warmer because of this pooling of the water towards the Australia. समझ में आया? So now what is, see here, when you will learn about this La Nina and El Nino, na, when you will come into the environmental classes, we will discuss again this climate change. I'll bring this topic again in the climate change also after your Indian geography. Now what happens is, in general, this is the phenomena. And sometimes if I say the trade winds are becoming extremely stronger, what will happen to this WPP? This pool of the water will increase in volume or it will decrease in volume? It will increase in volume. Now remember this, I am not explaining this phenomena of La Nina and El Nino. Remember this one, if it is low pressure over the Australia, it is always good for Indian rainfall. You will learn this in detail. If it is low pressure, it is always good for India's rainfall. Now if I say the trade winds are becoming stronger, the low pressure over the Australia will become stronger or it will become weak? It will become stronger. So in such circumstances, when the warm pool of the water is accumulated more towards Australia, the low pressure will be strengthened, and this L stands for La Nina. If low pressure is strengthened, this is known as La Nina conditions. समझ में आया? So La Nina will bring more rainfall in India or less rainfall? More rainfall in India. If I alter this condition, high pressure is here and low is in this area. Is this good for India's rainfall? Answer is no, and this condition is El Nino condition. Okay? Just briefing I am giving you. So why the normal conditions are prevailing here? In this normal conditions, because of the trade winds, the WPP should be near the Australia. समझ में आया? Yes? Now tell me, what happens in case of El Nino so that this WPP, warm pool, is shifted in this area? यहाँ पे shift हो जाएगा. And low pressure would be here then, and the high pressure would come under this Australia's situation, the high pressure will become here. So what happens? Why this WPP, which is normally should be here towards the Australia, why it sometimes gets shift in this area? Yes, exactly. You can understand easily why. What was the reason why the pool of the water was created? Because of the trade winds. Now, if the trade winds are becoming weaker, this pool will automatically come towards the Peru. समझ में आया? So this is El Nino. So in the El Nino, your trade winds will become weaker. समझ में आया? Now see here. So the question here that we are discussing, the factor here that we are discussing, it is in the lower latitude. It is, you have to be careful whether it is written trade wind or the westerlies. Okay. Now if the middle latitude, if I ask about higher latitudes or the middle or the temperate latitudes. Now we are going into temperate latitude means, always remember, we are going to discuss about the conditions of near this area. Now tell me, This is your North Atlantic drift. Yes or no? Yes. It is under the impact of westerlies or the easterlies? It is now under the impact of westerlies. Now the westerlies, if they are blowing here, what is this latitude? Somewhere around 40 to 65 we are talking about. In this 40 to 65, these are the westerly winds which are blowing here. In this westerlies, tell me now, the westerlies will bring warm water towards this side or towards here? Eastern side or the western side? Eastern side of the Atlantic. This is Atlantic. Now we have the two sides of the Atlantic. One is eastern and the second is western. Now this time the westerlies will bring this westerly water towards the eastern sides. समझ में आया? So here in the higher latitudes, what I should write? Offshore trade winds or offshore westerlies? Offshore trade winds or offshore westerlies? What I have written here? Offshore written. I have written offshore. They should be onshore. Which margin we are talking about? Sorry. This is my mistake. It is onshore. This is onshore trade winds which are bringing warm water here. ठीक है? Onshore. Onshore trade winds. Now here on the second side, बोर्ड को पता होता है exactly break कब देना है ना? This will hang. See here. Start hanging. Now see here. In case of higher latitude, this time which offshore or onshore westerlies? Onshore westerlies they are. So onshore westerlies, write down onshore westerlies. Be careful with these words. You can be played with the words also. Onshore westerlies in the higher latitude, they are responsible for warming of which margin of the continent? Tell me now. Western margin of continents. I am writing both the things now so that confusion would be removed. The western part of the continents, western parts of the continents and eastern parts of the this will be asked again. Okay? Again I am saying you, be careful with this 4-5 words. Number 1, continent you will have to see. The western, second, warming or cooling, what they are asking, onshore and the winds. Be careful with these words. Okay? So this was the third factor. Time ho gaya. Done. So we are about to complete this temperature distribution. In the next class, we will learn about the movement of water also, along with salinity and density, right? Thank you. Please bring in your atlas. Anyhow, I need this in oceanography.